This weekend, little horror franchise continued with its third part, Folie à Trois, opened up in theater, called Terrifier 3. And, you know, it's done really well for a little horror slasher franchise, like super low budget, made a few $1 million. It's done really great. So the third film opens, and it opens, check this out, at number 1 at the box office with $18.3 million. Now, while you may say, and you'd be right to say, $18.3 million isn't exactly a great opening weekend. That's not exactly blockbuster. True. But why are you popping bottles if you're the studio behind Terrifier? Because Terrifier cost $2 million to make. And if I read correctly, they only spent $500,000 on marketing the movie.
Wow.
In a world where even small budget movies will spend $10 million on marketing, they spent about $500,000 on marketing, bringing their grand total cost to about $2.5 million. They made $18.3 million in their opening weekend. Now, to put this success a little bit more in focus, think about this. Terrifier has made $2 million, or has made on a $2 million budget, $18 million in its opening weekend. Whereas one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and I don't say that facetiously, Francis Ford Coppola is the man. One of the greatest filmmakers of all time made a movie for $120 million. So what's that? My math is bad. What is that? 60 times? Yeah. 60 times more money than what Terrifier did.
Yeah.
And it has made $10 million in 3 weeks. Terrifier 3, on a $2 million budget, has made $18 million in its opening weekend. Megalopolis, by one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, spent $120 million, and it has made $10 million.
So, I mean,
in
let's see.
3 weeks.
Let's be like 12 on top of that. So, like, in 3 weeks, what do we think Terrifier 3 is going to amass?
Let's see. I mean,
maybe 25 mil?
It'll have a decent second weekend drop-off. So maybe, I'm thinking 28.
Yeah, okay, I had 25. So
yeah, 25 to $28 million after 3. It'll almost triple what.
Which, if you had $2.5 million to invest and you came back with 25 to 28 million in profit, you'd be like, wow, man, a 10 bagger. I did it.
Now, look, here's one of the most interesting things about this to me. Now, I'm not a Terrifier fan. Granted, I only watched one of the original 2 movies, and it wasn't for me. That's fine. But it has a very passionate fan base, right? Very passionate fan base. To me, the big thing isn't the $18 million opening weekend. Most movies would consider that not a very good opening weekend. For them, they do, because they only spent $2 million making it. Fantastic. The really impressive part here to me is that there are films that spend $20 million on a marketing budget to get a $20 million opening weekend. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mando. Guys, I've got to tell you about something that changed my whole body care game. Mando Whole Body Deodorant. Now, I first heard about Mando last year when they offered to become a sponsor of the show, and I was honestly skeptical. I mean, a deodorant can't really control odor for 72 hours, can it? But after using it myself, I am a believer. You can use it anywhere on your body, and I mean anywhere. It's clinically proven to keep you smelling fresh for up to 72 hours without any irritation. I'm loving the clover wood scent, but they've got options like bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and even unscented if you prefer to go stealth mode. I like to use it after the shower, before the gym, or even important meetings. It's that reliable. And right now, Mando's got a killer deal. New customers get $5 off their best-selling starter pack with my exclusive code Campea. That's over 40% off. Just go to Shop Mando, that's SHOPMANDO.com, and use the code Campea. Seriously, guys, if you want a deodorant that's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and just works better than anything else you've tried, it's time to make the switch to Mando. So don't wait. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. Head over to shopmando.com and use the code Campea and get $5 off your starter pack. Trust me, you're going to love it. That's at shopmando.com. Go and check it out now. This thing spent roughly $500,000 on a marketing campaign. They did all of their marketing virally through online, as much free source as they can, ground game, really mobilizing the existing fan base that was there and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that they parlayed a $500,000 marketing budget, which is what some movies spend on lunch, and turn that into an $18 million opening weekend is huge. See, some people today are going around saying, wow, studios are really going to be looking at how they made a $2 million movie into an $18 million. No, they're not. No, they're not. What exhibitors and distributors are looking at, the real story is they're looking at how they turned a $500,000 budgeted marketing campaign into an $18 million opening weekend. Not a $2 million production budget movie, a $500,000 marketing budget movie, how they turned that into $18 million.
Yeah.
I remember the first movie that really the first major Hollywood film that really tried to leverage online momentum to push their marketing. And they spent more than $500,000 was Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They utilized online as much free avenues as they could.
Yeah.
To try to get that going. And they weren't able to have nearly the success because they still had a fairly decent marketing budget, but it was low. They really leaned into online, and it came in to this. Here's let me ask you something, John.
Yeah.
When you look at this little chart I put together, this little graphic.
Yeah.
Does this thing, what's the bigger story on this? And I didn't think about this till right now. Is the bigger story on this, does this little graphic really represent the surprise success of Terrifier 3? Or is the bigger story here the highlight of just how badly Megalopolis did? What's jumping at you the most?
I think it comes down to the Megalopolis to me because of everything that was backing it. You can't say big studio. He funded it himself, and he had to pay for distribution. But that just speaks to the failure even further to me. What speaks to Terrifier 3 is this baked-in base of fandom. I didn't realize the fandom was this big, that you could spend $500,000 and you'd make $18 million on opening weekend. It kind of reminds me of what Smile 2 did with their or Smile 1 did with their marketing. They made about $22 million on their opening weekend and went on to make $200 million. Now, I don't think Terrifier is going to have the wherewithal to make.
And it's not going to have the legs of Smile.
To make
not at all.
If you were to compare those two, that would be like 180 but that's 10 times what Terrifier has already made. It's not going to do that, but it just goes to show you, like, nowadays, take advantage of the marketing tools you have. You don't have to go huge, and break. You have to do, what was that? It would have been like $1 million with 50%. I mean, even that would have still been pretty lean, but I mean, my goodness, I think most people would have thought $1.5 million on marketing for Terrifier 3, but.
And you know what this reminds me of? This also reminds me back when Blair Witch Project came out.
Yeah.
Blair Witch Project, which was basically a movie that was made for bus fare.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literal bus fare. Like, especially if you talk to the actors who were in it. I mean, it kind of reminds, some of the buzz I'm hearing now in conversation is you can make some super low budget films, and if you have the right idea for them and angle them right, you can make millions of dollars in profit.
Yeah, it was $60,000 on Blair Witch, that original Blair Witch, $60,000.
$60,000 was the production budget.
Yeah.
And now, granted, once it kind of became recognized that this was a hot little film, I think the distributor did put some okay money behind it marketing-wise.
Yeah.
But again, it's starting up that same conversation. Like, I don't know, maybe you can take these little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 million. Remember, much more expensive. But that Elizabeth Moss Invisible Man movie, I think they made that movie. I think the production budget was $8 million. $8 million.
Yeah.
So there are movies you can make that may not get blockbuster numbers, may not get $100 million worth of people coming out to it. You can make these low budget films and enjoy good success.
Yeah. In the world of baseball, these would be known as base hits.
Base hits.
Just
may not be
base
your
to
home
base,
runs.
baby.
May not be your home runs,
Base to base.
but they get on base.
They certainly pay the bills of your studio.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about the success? I mean, great. Listen, let's not pretend it's something that it isn't. An $18 million opening weekend is not something that's going to be sung about in history, but it was a movie that was made for $2 million at a $500,000 marketing budget, and it's crushing a $120 million movie by Francis Ford Coppola that's been in theaters for 3 weeks and has only made $10 million. What stands out to you the most in this? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.